Hello, I'm Colin Ward. I'm a retired detective in Greater Manchester Police who previously specialised in human trafficking, modern slavery. I now work as a part-time advisor to with an analytics company looking at sex trafficking within adult service websites. And I'm also proud to say I'm a trustee of Medai Trust. The boyfriend trap is a type of exploitation when it comes to victims of human trafficking. I suppose it could also be the girlfriend trap. It doesn't matter what sex you are, people can be exploited in this way. It's also known as the lover boy method and sometimes the Romeo method as well. And it's basically where someone is dependent or they feel they're dependent on that person, exploiter, befriends them, makes them dependent on them, gets them to fall in love with them. They target their sometimes insecurities they might have. And then after a short time, it could be a short time, it could be a long time in fact, they then exploit them. The real truth is why they've done that to that person, why they befriended them, why they made them fall in love with them dependent, is they want to exploit them sexually. The experiences I've had are mainly of males grooming young females. But as I said, it can definitely happen to males, and we probably don't know enough about this lover boy, boyfriend method with males and trans. It must be happening. We just don't seem to see it as much. So the examples I've got are of young females being groomed. Sometimes it's been of a female who's been befriended by a male, often older, and these cases they always have been older that I've got examples of, who's then over a short period of time befriended them, said to them, come to the UK, don't tell your parents, we'll be fine, we'll have a little trip, to the UK. And this person's fallen for this person right now, they think, yeah, I'll have this romantic trip to the United Kingdom. But when the reality is, when they got here, in this example was, they weren't, they were beaten, they were raped, and were forced into sex work on that first occasion. I've had other occasions when they have befriended them for a long period of time in their own country, and this is often for people abroad. It's been a slow burn as such, and no doubt at all in the mind of the exploiter, they knew this at the start, but they felt it needed to be a long time before they gained the trust of the exploited person. So they've done that in their own country then come to the UK, and again, like that first example, have gone very, very soon, they've then exploited them. But what they tend to tell them is, come to the UK, we'll get a better life than we've got in our own country. There might be problems with money, might have problems with their own parents or something like this, the person. And then they got to here, and then the person said, we've got a job, I've got you a job with a friend. Then when they've got here, they've said, that job's not here, but we need to earn money. And if you love me, we need to find a way of earning money. And that's when they introduce usually the sex work. And that's when they introduce, say, look, you'll have to do it for a short period of time. But it soon goes on and on and on. And then the beatings and then the exploitation carries on. I've worked on a few cases also where the exploiters use this method. Then after a period of time when he's exploiting this female and forcing into sex work, he's brought another female over doing the same. So it's a continuous line of new victims. And he'll often flaunt the new victim in front of the old victim. And, that just really the psychological effects of that first victim then just, gets worse and worse and worse. Understanding how common this method is hard. The figures are very hard to find. I specialise in this for 17 years, and I can guarantee I'm aware of cases every year in just the Greater Manchester area that I worked in where this has happened. The impact on the victims in these cases can be horrendous. The psychological effect of having someone exploit you, but also having con you in the first place. You've got the obvious trauma of exploitation that'll happen with every victim of human trafficking, modern slavery. You've obviously got then the trauma and the physical abuse, but you've got the mental abuse as well. So it can be often looked at very similar to domestic abuse cases. This person has befriended them and they think they're in a relationship with them, and then they've got these harm, this trauma on them because of the result of what's happening to them. One of the aspects of the trauma will be the long-term effect it has on this person with relationships afterwards. So it's not just as it's happened with this one person, it's how they react then with going forward. The trust of often males in general, the trust of their future boyfriends, girlfriends can be horrendous because of this, what's happened on this one occasion. They've also got the impacts of sometimes shame. They've told the family that they've got this new boyfriend. They've told the family that they're going over to the UK to earn some money, and the reality hasn't happened. So they often feel shamed in that they've been managed to be duped and conned by this person. So what signs are there of this happening? Well, that's signs for a potential victim or signs for other people to look out for. If someone gets a new boyfriend and they suggest quite quickly, let's go to the UK. If someone gets this new boyfriend and they say, well, let's go and get some work in the UK, and it's very, very early on in that relationship, I'll be asking that question, why are we going to the UK so soon in our relationship? If someone says we've got work available, but then as soon as you get to it, they say, oh, that work's not happened. It's not materialised for whatever reason, there's been a problem. Be suspicious of that. Then they then say to you, well, the only way we can earn money really is to do some massages or something like that. You won't have to sleep with people. And then it leads to, well, if you sleep with people, you have sex with that person, you're going to earn more money. You don't have to do it for a couple of months, and then it can end, and then we can go back to the life we wanted and stuff like that. So if these questions are being put to you as a potential victim, or you're hearing this happening with someone else, then I'll be asking that question, could this person be exploited, or am I about to be exploited? If the person says, I'll hold your passport for you, I need to keep your passport, and you get it back when you come to the UK. But when you're going through that airport, they give it you back, obviously, when you're in that queue to go through immigration. But then you notice that they're not actually stood with you. They said, oh, I'll stand back. So they're somewhere else in the queue. They don't want you to go through at the same time. They don't want people to understand if any investigations happened that to get you together. It might be that they booked flight tickets for you both, but they sit somewhere else on the plane. Again, they don't want that association with you as a potential victim if it comes out. It's an invisible handcuff situation. It's not that they're locked in cupboards or locked in houses very often. It's that they can't get help for whatever reason. They'll have a mobile phone. They'll have access to their passport most of the time. The trafficker doesn't need to take that off them. So don't see that as, oh, they've got a mobile phone, they can't be a victim, or they've got their own passport, they can't be a victim. Well, if you've got a little bit of an inkling that someone hasn't got that control over their life and they're unhappy in that, then just report it. It's also important to understand that this type of crime, this type of exploitation, doesn't happen to foreign nationals who are being brought to the UK. It can happen within the UK. I've got examples of British nationals who have been exploited both in this country, but also being exploited to other countries where they've met someone, befriended them for a period of time, they thought they cared for that person, they've met them, and then they've gone to this other country and been exploited there. If they're asking you to take intimate photographs as part of your early relationship, why? Are they going to use these photographs on online sex sites, adult service websites and something like that to advertise you? If you're being exploited, if you're being abused in this way, or you feel that someone else is, please don't be afraid to contact the police. Please don't be afraid about possibly your immigration status. It's not stopping you being a victim, it's not stopping you being abused, and it's not stopping you getting help. Now, whether that help is from the police, or whether you want to contact someone like the Modern Slavery Helpline, or other charities and non-governmental organisations, that help is there. Make sure you get that help, make sure you report it if you think someone else has been exploited. It's hard in many ways because every victim is different. Every type of exploitation can be different. So there's not a one size fits all when it comes to this. So just look out for them. They don't have the control, they're not getting any money themselves, they're not getting any food, they don't seem to be able to contact the parents, the family back home. They've not got that freedom. So it's important to say that this type of crime can happen to anybody. Any nationality, any background, any sex, anyone is susceptible to be vulnerable to this type of crime. Anyone can be exploited in this way.